Stephen here with Fit Bully TV. We have an Amira pup. Now this dog is as pretty as he is because of Amira. I will tell you, we'll do a video on the genetics. Now, boys do contribute, but here are the facts. And shout out to the late Ed, I believe that's his name, who created Dax and brought Dax to life. He said it in an interview one time, hey, they weren't great females. Here's the question of the day is, what's the hardest part about letting a puppy go? What should your standard be? And how much vetting should you do? Now, Stan, go ahead and walk us through. Stan, this is one of your first breedings. And he's never whelped a litter for real. So what are some of your concerns as a first-time breeder? And I know you said, hey, you know, I'm spending a lot of time with him, so I like him. Look, that's the point. Yeah. The point is for you to breed because you actually like your dogs and you want to get better dogs. When people have that same experience, so it's easy to get attached to things. Well, not for me, but the average person is going to get attached. And you've got what, 3 dogs?
Just 2.
Oh, one's gone already. Okay, so he's got 2 dogs left, and I mean, look at that dog. It's gorgeous. That's gorgeous, George. So, what as a first-time breeder, or one of your first breedings? What are some things that you're troubled with?
That somebody's gonna do right by the dog. People see the stuff that we do with our dogs and they think it's easy, and they think it happens the very first time, every single time. And most people will get mad at the dog, and you can actually ruin a really good dog by pushing them too hard, too fast. A lot of people have seen these dogs do everything since the birth, but it's not because they just did it. I was there motivating them. And it was just enough of I helped them out just enough, but I pushed them even more. And my biggest thing is somebody's going to try to do too much too fast with the dog.
And what's too much too fast?
Try to expect them to be finished. Try to expect them to be perfect. They're going to mess up. They're going to pee in the kennel. They're going to chew on cords. They're not going to listen. You're going to go through times where you put all this time and effort with the dog, and you're going to say, here, and the dog's going to look at you and be like, I want to go over here. And before dog's about 8 months old, if you overcorrect them, you ruin the confidence and you ruin the relationship with the dog. Especially a dog like this is going to take just a little bit of time to mentally mature, physically mature, to do all the things that we want them to do. So they were just trying to do too much. So
so then how would you, and mind you, I had nothing to do with the breeding side or even where the pups go. I don't know none of the people. How would you then vet people, or what's your approach to making sure the dog gets to a happy, healthy home?
Well, you ask people who've done it time and time again. So we will have conversations about that, knowing what to ask. My buddy Henrik does it with the German Shepherds, just different things that they look for. Ideally, I would want somebody to have at least a backyard for the dog so they're not cooped up in an apartment all day, because these are not really like apartment dogs. Not to say that they can't, but you make sure you have to get them out on a walk, a regiment, give them like a nice routine, because they are vocal. I mean, they want to be with you. So if you leave them in a kennel, they will make some noise, and you got to kind of wait them out. Somebody who's relatively active. I don't want somebody who's not going to ever go out and do anything with their dog to get them, because again, these dogs will be destructive. There's been times that I haven't done something with Rocko, and then he's like, you know what? I'm going to make you pay attention to me. And it's just their nature. That's just how they are. So that's one thing that I would look for. They don't necessarily have to go through training, but I would want them to be able to communicate with their dog. And I don't want somebody who's, if they have kids, I don't want somebody with bad kids to get the dog, because that's just a reflection of how the dog's going to be treated. So this is a couple of things.
All that people goes into potentially trying to get a dog out of your house. And sometimes it forces people to be like, that dog ain't leaving my house. Especially if you don't talk to the right people. Now, I'll be clear in saying that price doesn't justify value either, because there are some bossy dogs. And I'm using them as a point of reference because those dogs between $7,000 and $35,000 that ended up in some places they probably shouldn't have been. And many other dogs, to say the least, where people sold the dogs for a lucrative amount of money, and we're talking $10,000 plus successive, and the dogs just was like, they were like, you know what, F this, I'm done with this. here's the thing. We go through a process of, for one, establishing value through our work. So when people get our dogs, they're like, I gotta live up to that. I gotta at least try. And I tell them all, my highest value is care. Care is equivalent to love. And if it's real love, meaning you have a love for what we do, it's going to be some respect. And so when you get on our waiting list, whomever is buying a dog, you and I begin to have a conversation, they go, man, I'm super excited. Now, we're not going to overpopulate the world either. So if you do get a chance to get our dog, because of our waiting list and just the people who've come out of the woodworks to want to participate in either breeding or just having a good dog, you go, I just want to have as much fun that, as you have. And that might not look like what we do. It might not be hill work. It might not be jumping in rivers when it's pouring rain. It might not be, going to the playground. It might not be getting muddy, eventually finding some snow and all this other stuff I want to do. That might not be your journey with the dog. But because of our journey, you go, wow, I want to experience some of that in some form or fashion. And I want a dog to be fearless. Now, even with Stan saying too, like, hey, look, imagine he chewing on my hoodie. I'll pop the dog on the head. For what? You just put the hoodie up or let him enjoy himself, depending on how old the shirt is. And that doesn't mean he's going to learn how to chew things up. He's a pup growing. He going to chew. That's what he's going to do. That's what they do. Eagle still keeps a bear in his mouth. And I got a phone call the other day. Someone's in Washington. Like, hey, he's chewing the bear up. Should I remove it? I said, yeah. What are you doing? He don't do it if you in here. If you're not in here, put it like this. If I'm in here, he want to chew the bear for whatever reason. If I'm not in here, he in here for 5 hours. The bears are fine. Soon as I come back, he's chewing on the bears. Because he's like, yo, what's up? What we doing? Man, you better sit down. You better sit down. So, for one, letting go of a dog can be very difficult, especially if you're a new breeder. Two, if you're able to express and show your values, most people who are following you or in support of you will value what you're doing as well and try to uphold the standard. And we haven't even put a standard limit. Matter of fact, I tell everybody, just take care of the dogs. Do not do what I do. I literally, every last dog, do not do what I do. Yep. Because whether you do or don't, I have to do this. This is my life is based in activity, and I tell you, it's more active than it's been in a couple of years. And that's all in a week's time. Everything changed because no matter what happens, it's who I am. Even as much as I try to run from it, I can't get away from it. And the dogs, they do bring the best out in me. So, value, rooted in care. You guys seeing what we do, we put it all out there. We try to teach and educate. We try to help as best we can. And then we're going to have a simple conversation. And that conversation is going to tell me where your head's at. If you think you're going to get one of our dogs and get a bunch of money, the conversation's over. It's not the move. It's never going to. For one, you're never going to outbreed me when it comes to my dogs. It's just not happening. Which is why if you ever go to, I'm using Bossy as a point of reference, as a website, you'll see the first two or four picks sometimes on a breeding that they did, she keeping them. So if she keeping the best dogs out of the breeding, you're never going to outbreed her when you're getting hand-me-downs per se. You're still paying $25 for them, but you can't outbreed someone who keeps her best dogs. You're never going to outbreed me, period, when it comes to my dogs and what we're trying to do, because I'm trying to create an AMT anyway. So we're not even talking about the same dog.
And that's another thing. People try to make the dogs that they get into our dogs.
Oh, man.
And you don't have our dogs. We picked our dogs for certain reasons. Like, this dog literally does everything. He swims, he goes on the A-frame, he does bite work, he does all of that stuff. But the reason why I picked Hero over him is Hero does it easier. He does it more. And it's just going to take him a little bit of time to develop into that. And like Trevor said, you're not going to out-train me. So you don't want your dogs to be trying to do the stuff that I even have him doing right now, because I'm noticing every small thing that he's doing, and I'm noticing how to avoid him making those mistakes. And I'm stopping while I'm ahead. And it's not hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. I get him out 5 minutes a day. We spend a little bit of time, bond, and everything else is just all fun. Even when he poops in the kennel, it's like, come on, bro, really? This is what we're doing? And I'm not making a big deal about it because he doesn't learn yet. He hasn't got on a really good routine about eating his food. All of that stuff is going to come with time. And we want to make sure people take their time. So I don't want somebody who's like, oh, I want to get them in bite work at 10 weeks old. Like, no, come on, bro. Calm down, calm down, calm down. So those are my concerns.
Yeah. Yeah. So less concerns. A lot of times at the end of the day, it is a product, and so it's a living product. So I understand his connectivity to it. Oh, he about to throw up. He is about to throw up. It's okay though, man. We'll clean it up, but he's definitely about to chuck up the deuce with the. He put him on his blue car. Oh, perfect timing. He got it right in the trash. There we go, baby. Let's go, baby. Let's go, baby.
And you see, I didn't rush after him and try to like scare him. I just calmly walked over there and did the Heimlich maneuver.
Free now. He free now.
Hey, you feel better? You feel better. And this is exactly what we're talking about, folks.
I seen it. Uh-oh, it's coming, baby. Dogs, they take a little time unless it's like something really in there they want to get out. And anywho, people, slow and steady wins the race. One of our highest values is care. That care is parlayed in everything that we do. People who have our pups, believe me, I get wellness updates, and I repeat, guys, when you get a dog from me, you get your papers, we'll never have to speak again. But there are people, again, who are just excited, like, yo, can I call? Got a few more questions. And even someone the other day reached out who has one of our dogs who's cryptorchid. She said, hey, what would I need to do to breed and pass along this beauty? I said, I would never. I'll let you hear the message. I said, I would never breed that dog. He's cryptorchid. That's just why we sold him pet home. And unfortunately, a lot of people wouldn't be. Oh, it's another phone. It wouldn't be that honest with the person, but that's my exact response. The dog's cryptorchid. I would never breed that dog. I would recommend it. You don't want to double down on genetics because I don't know. Thanks, brother. Because I don't know what the dog, like where it came from. Even though normally it says you need 2 genetics for that to take place, you go, we got to figure something out here. Oh, there we go. Hey, we're just talking. How difficult would it be?
He would never be bred, only because he shows signs of cryptorchid. We can't. You don't ever want to double up on that gene or pass the one testicle thing on. But you know, some people disagree with that, but you can look into cryptorchid and what that does. Long-term effects. That's definitely why people would sell it for pet homes versus ever being bred, so you don't create more problems. In the American Bully, it has more than enough problems, so I wouldn't recommend it personally ever.
That's it. I'm not gonna sell her on maybe. No, it's not gonna happen. We got to move on. She says, I will take your advice. When the time comes, I'll get him neutered. That's it. Why? And mind you, I can't tell him what to do. What I can say is that you might want to find a better dog. But I was upfront. I gave her the health record. She saw everything. She knows what she's up against. She knows that there's an increased risk of cancer. But Chris Morris taught us now how to deal with cryptorchidism even as early as 8 weeks. So I know how to solve that problem. We'll talk about that at another time. At anywho, align a dog with your values. Make sure what you're doing is of value. Put that value out in the universe. And part of it is just seeing what happens. I got to be honest. I'm surprised. Shout out to JC out there in Oregon who's got a Zara daughter. He wants to breed. He said, I was nervous even about asking you. He said, because I've heard and listened in detail where you stand on things. But he said, I wasn't even going to bring it up again. I said, you're fine, man. Look, you got the paper. He says, no. He said, no, if I breed her, because you just pay for the papers, you have her. He said, I want to breed her with your dogs. I said, oh, that's what the challenge is. You want to work within what we're doing and keep the integrity there. Yes. And he loves that dog, that female. I like her. She's looking good. It's Hera's sister. And she was definitely more like Zara. They both are the Zara, but that one is like Zara. And look, she looks just like her, literally. Just like her. And she's coming right along. They've taken heed to everything that we do. He's even built his own custom A-frame. Didn't tell him to do that. He said, I'm trying to keep up. You go. He didn't have to do that, man. He didn't have to do that. But value, again, when it's parlayed effortlessly. And trust me, you put a lot of effort into this. It's just a beautiful thing. So people, take care of your dogs. Don't overthink it. You do have some puppies. You got to let them go. You do. And you got to move forward, because each dog that you keep is a step towards bettering your program, and each dog you sell is a dog that could better someone's home. That's simple.
Yeah. Take care of your dog.